A little Charlie Brown special going on.
It does sort of feel that way, doesn't it?
It's another November Thanksgiving, Charlie's Brown.
It is another November. AJ Real says howdy. Howdy, AJ. Yeah, it does sort of feel, thank you, Sean. I'm glad you like it. Sean Vieira says, nice music. The idea, I can't unhear that it's like the Peanuts, like...
Right?
And it's sort of, Peanuts to me seem like a November kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. It's like Alex says, it's another event for Thanksgiving, Charlie Brown.
It is. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mutants and Masterminds Monday. This is the pregame where we listen to this groovy music.
Oh, I didn't know we were pre-gaming, Troy. I would have brought something to drink.
Oh, right. No, I start these out drunk, so... I was just thinking... Time. It really does, yeah. I'm an economy of efforts guy. Hey, speaking of Peanuts, I didn't like Peanuts as a kid. Like the cartoon.
Really?
It's quite boring. David Body says, afternoon, folks.
That certainly is somewhere.
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock afternoon for us. I don't know.
It's
early evening.
Yeah, it's whatever it is. Look at this. But hello, gentlemen.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to Mutants and Masterminds Monday, and I feel like we've almost got too much stuff to talk about, and I'm not even being the normal sort of corny, hype guy. We've got new releases on Roll20. We have got the RPG Alliance stuff to talk about. We've got, which includes Alex, you, and some of your event. We've also got some other things that I've forgotten. So I guess it's a shorter show than Jonesy says, nice ring. David Weiss says, you guys are West Coast, right? Well, we're all over the place. We are a distributed office and have been for some time. Actually, before it was cool.
Yes.
Steve,
I'm in the realm of purgatory known as Ohio.
Ooh, yeah. And then, Steve, you're over on the kind of East Coasty, right?
I am. I'm up in New England, so.
Gotcha. Yeah. Jonesy's a big fan of The Ring, Alex.
Yeah, I got married yesterday.
So. Woo!
Congratulations. I was going to sing you the customary "You Got Married" song. But then I realized I don't know one, and then I looked, and there isn't one.
You want to know? We went to a Mexican restaurant the day before.
Oh, yeah.
And, they came out and sang happy birthday to us in Spanish.
Well, it is sort of like a new you, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
This is very sweet. Liz Court says, congrats, Halloween is the best day for I thought that nuptials, and I thought that said... I'll just say nipples. Nipples that's not bad. But I was like, it is the best. Halloween is the best day for nipples. Now, did you dress up?
I wore a crown.
Of course you did.
I think my costume was as groom. Although, my wife now, I guess, we my best man and I, we put together some dragon wings for her. We built them out of like wire and spider web lace. It was very, very interesting.
Very cool.
Fun. Now, did you do anything did you perform anything? Did you do like a dance? Did you do any kind of...
I did sing a Garth Brooks song to her.
Oh, which one?
Shameless.
Okay, I don't know that. Well, I don't know any of them, honestly.
It's the one that was written by Billy Joel.
Okay, nice. And it goes something like...
Oh, I'm not allowed to sing that. Copyright strike.
Oh no, you can sing. You can sing it. We just can't play the original. But I'm just teasing you.
Is that your song? Like as a couple?
That's the one I do for her at karaoke, and she sings I Have Nothing from the Bodyguard for me from karaoke.
That is sweet. That's a jaunty tune.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're all good.
David Body asks, so what are the features that come with that ring, Alex?
So far it's made my left hand feel really heavy all day.
So like plus 1 to hand weight.
Yeah, +1 size rings.
Liz Courts, you're absolutely right. Every day is a good day for nipples. We are not nipple shamers. Yeah. Somebody Feliz Navidad to you. I love that. And no, Sean, I think we're all right on that point. Yeah. I think we're good. Okay, so Netherwar.
Yeah. So
tell me this. Tell me the story. Now, I will say we are talking about the release on Roll20, and we released the first and the second. And the first is what is that 0? Sort of the
right.
Yeah. And then the
series guide.
Okay, and then the second release is it the Assault on the Nerian Nexus? Is that right?
Yes. Then we have Master of Earth is technically number 0.
That's right. That's right. Master of Earth, and then Assault on Nerian Nexus.
Right.
Am I saying that right?
Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice, because I've been saying it in my head for a long time.
Well, you're at least saying it the same way I say it, so I don't know.
I might have actually, Alex. Now that I think about it, I might have learned that from watching your stream. So yeah, you steered me the right direction. Okay, well, so what's the premise? What's the idea? And we are saying we are using Nethervember, but it has sort of a we're not. Yeah, I'm not sure. The jury's out on that, but it is the Nethervember. The Nethervember. Sorry, I'm trying not to laugh. The Nethervember. Damn it! It's that name that I just said. Bundle on Roll20, and it's only $9.99. It's actually so you can buy the two separate. You can buy it as a bundle. Buy it as a bundle. You get a little bonus. I think it's a couple bucks off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why? Yeah. Let's talk about it.
So Netherwar grew out of basically a just sort of throwaway plot hook that we dropped in the 3rd edition of Freedom City. When we were setting up a lot of the 3rd edition stuff for Earth Prime and for Freedom City, we advanced the timeline in a lot of areas. We made some changes. We shuffled things around. One of the things we did was that Eldritch as Master Mage of Earth was gone. We established that Eldritch was missing or dead, and that there wasn't currently a Master Mage of Earth, and therefore that meant that Earth was potentially vulnerable to all kinds of mystic threats, because Eldritch's potential successor, Seven, had this magical duel with Una, and had won, but had also unintentionally essentially inherited Una's role as Dark Lord of her Netherworld dimension, and couldn't, essentially do both parts, because the way magic works in the Earth Prime multiverse, you can either be the tyrannical Dark Lord of a dimension and essentially rule it with a magical iron fist, or you can be its magical guardian and its master mage and protect it, and sort of uphold natural law within that dimension, but you can't do both.
Right, yeah.
And so Seven was basically stuck with the choice of either abandoning being Earth's master mage in order to take up Una's crown and work the slow and kind of complicated process of undoing all of the damage that had been done to Una's netherworld, and freeing it from her own rule, really, at that point. Or she had to abandon the netherworld, which would essentially mean that an entire universe was going to be destroyed, in order for her to continue to be Master Mage of Earth. And for a hero like Seven, there's really not much choice in that when potentially billions of lives hung in the balance. And so she chose to leave Earth and do what she could to salvage the Netherworld, but that essentially left Earth defenseless without a Master Mage. Because no one had been prepared. Seven was already new in the role, and no one had been prepared as her successor yet. And that was where we left it in Freedom City, as basically just a big question mark and sort of plot hook for game masters who wanted to do something with that.
Yeah.
Because one of the elements in earlier editions of Freedom City was a lot of parts of the setting seemed kind of nailed down. And it didn't leave as much breathing space as we wanted for player characters and for interesting plots to go into. So that was where we left it. But when Crystal took up developing the line, and one of Crystal's areas of expertise is adventures design, and so when we launched Astonishing Adventures, there was this great big plot hook, just kind of waiting to be exploited. And Crystal took it and ran with it. And Netherwar is basically what we get from exploring that.
How fun. That is fantastic. Now, and Alex, you've been running this series.
I have been since February. We've been running Netherwar every week. So we're episode 37 is tonight.
Okay, that's awesome. Do you want to add some?
Yeah, and we have we've been having a great time with it. We've gotten through. We are officially right where Sean Duggan is, right before the final module. Book number 5, I think. Mm-hmm. I don't remember the name of book number 5 off the top of my head. But I've been filling in the way I do my adventure design. I do I sort of do story arcs when I'm running a campaign, sort of like 3 or 4 issues of a comic kind of story ideas.
Huh.
So each one of the modules has been 4 or 5 episodes. And in between the modules, I've had like a story arc dedicated to each of the player characters' backstories or their NPCs or a situation that they've got going on, because I'm building sort of a Master Mage Voltron with our PCs, where they're all Master Mages of different dimensions, and they don't know it yet. They're getting ready to take up the mantle. Some of them know it. Some of them don't know that they're the Master Mage of a universe somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like the sound of that. Yeah, so it's, you said you are at number 5. So it goes Masters of Earth, Assault on Nerian Nexus, and then Pentagram Peril, Broken Strings, Bound by Gold, and 3 Made 1.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We also did Into the Idiot Box, slided in between Broken Strings and Bound by Gold.
Okay, I like that. I mean, that's interesting. That's interesting. I think that many of our standard issue folks are aware of how flexible the system is. But if you were listening to this for the first time and you're just picking up on it, you've always wanted to get involved with Mutants and Masterminds because you love us and you love the genre. What would you suggest or recommend? Like, what would be a good pairing with this? Do you want to look into other supplements or anything that would kind of be able to kind of plug into this, or like just to start, let's say you're going to kick this off. What are some of the things that you want to maybe supplement your experience with? And then we'll get into Sean's talking about being stuck, but we'll talk about what you do when you're in a magic world and you have no magic.
We talk a little bit about that in the series guide, in fact, of some resources for the game that would be helpful. And I think that we mentioned that the 2nd edition Book of Magic, which is still available as a PDF, is a useful resource in terms of just sort of the background of a lot of the characters and the cosmology and where things were at the start of all of this before things kind of went south. And for folks who want more context There's the third edition Freedom City book. Because a good chunk of the series takes place in Freedom City. And Atlas of Earth Prime also touches on a little bit of the magical, sort of greater context, magical cosmology, the magical characters outside of Freedom City in the United States and the like. What else have you found useful in your campaign, Alex?
Well, Pentagram Peril actually has a whole bunch of Atlas of Earth Prime's locations that if you're running that scenario, it helps to read the Atlas and you can further develop those areas. Because I did, Steve wrote Pentagram Peril, I'm pretty sure.
I did, although Crystal supplemented a good amount of my original stuff for that.
Yeah, and in Pentagram Peril, there's sort of this globe-trotting hunt for these magical artifacts that takes you to a bunch of interesting places in Earth Prime. And you can either do them as one scene each, or what I did was I did one 4-hour or one 3-hour adventure for each of the 3 locations. It was this scary temple in Antarctica called Nulla Tempest, which is like the land time forgot or something like that. Dakana in Africa, and Subterra, where they got to have a whole bunch of fun with the Terra King. I also used the Supernatural Handbook to help players get into the mood of creating characters that sort of not necessarily had to be magical characters, but could slot into that sort of Freedom League Dark is what we call our team. So playing on the Justice League Dark, where the magical sort of gray heroes compared to the main Freedom League.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Your gray market folks. Yeah, that makes sense.
Just because magic in comic books tends to live in that little area, that space where things are strange, things can be a little darker, they can be a little weirder. The heroes, usually magic has a price on heroes, and that tends to lead to heroes who have a little darker moral fabric than like Superman.
Little tragedy to them.
Yeah, especially our Centuria has a whole bunch of tragedy. Originally, one of our players was playing the Centuria from the main timeline, but she wanted to put her own take on the character. She was a guest star for a minute, and then she came on as one of our main players. So she used the possibility shards that she picked up in the Nerian Nexus in book number 1, and she swapped places with another Centuria who was the sole survivor of Netherwar in her universe. So she knows a little bit about what's going on and what the end result if the heroes don't succeed, which has been
okay. Okay, well, listen to this. So I want to shout out to Vicky from the RPG. There we go. Alliance Convention.
Hey,
we're really looking forward to this. We'll talk a lot about this today. I don't want to spoil anything, but imagine an entire ship from Ships of the Expanse in the world. You can get in there and you can just fly it. No, I'm kidding. You can't really fly it. I mean, you can pretend like you're flying, sure. But it will, really great stuff. Really great crew. We'll talk about that. That's the 20th and 21st of this very month. And so we'll be sharing also links to get tickets and all that good stuff. But hi, Vicky. Glad you joined us. There's something else about the release of Netherwar on Roll20 that I think we haven't necessarily elaborated on as much as we should. And that is, there are new maps in there, brand new maps that have been created for, when you're doing the VTT thing, it's just dependent on how much time you spend in a space, you really have to have something representing that space, right? So I drew them all myself. No, I did not.
Oh, did you?
I did not. But that would be funny, and those would be something to look at. That is for sure. I'm going to pull those up here so that we can take a look and flip through them. And Steve's like, yes, well, how great to be seeing these for the first time. Surprise.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, they're really, really great. Yeah. So we are going to start with Pyramid Plaza. and hang here for a minute. I'm trying to see how we can do this so that I can easily go through them and not confuse. Now, Pyramid Plaza plays a pretty important role. What is Pyramid Plaza as my way of vamping, as I find?
So Pyramid Plaza is another one of those. There's so many, like, this is a thing that Steve made up as a throwaway reference that eventually other people had to be responsible for actually making happen. Pyramid Plaza,
right, Steve?
Right? Yeah, I'm pretty much an ideas guy, Pyramid Plaza was basically part of the background of a magical character in the Earth Prime setting that, as Sean Duggan points out, was built above the infamous lair of the Scarab. And the Scarab was a spooky psychic character in the setting, who was a reincarnated Egyptian prince with with mental powers. And was basically a rich corporate type in his day job. And Pyramid Plaza is the big shining steel skyscrapers that are above his underground lair. And we ended up mentioning Pyramid Plaza in Freedom City originally because the Scarab was long dead, but because he's a character who reincarnates, we can later revisit him as a concept. And then later on, we developed and fleshed out the Scarab's lair for a original series that we were referring to as Freedom City Atlas, and included some of that material in the 3rd edition of Freedom City as well.
Nice. Well, so here's the plaza, right? This is sort of that open area between the buildings, and then
very cool
in that space. And here's a monorail, rails for the monorail, and then the monorail itself.
Oh, nice!
Oh, cool.
You can do a great, scene, with a fight on the monorail.
Yeah, classic. Yeah, classic sort of battle on the. Are you on the top? Are you on the bottom? Yeah, all that stuff.
Right.
There's the roof. So just for that very thing, as you chase your villain. Now let's see if I go this way. Oh no, that's not the right way.
So is that an asset that you could drag out on Roll20 and just plop on the map?
Yes. I mean, I'll admit to not necessarily knowing the exact functionality, but yeah, the intention is that you can kind of organize it as you
Very
need.
Cool.
That's so cool.
And I'm going to show you some more here. There's some cooler stuff too. I just need to grab it. The way that it is set up is a little.
The VTT team says yes, it is.
There we go. There you are. And that is the industrial throne room.
Is that Una's throne room?
I am not
Master of Earth.
I'm not as
Master of Earth or Nerian Nexus.
Right.
Oh, so this is not. Oh, yeah. That's right. This is Masters of Earth. So yeah, I'm jumbled up here. Yeah, I'm jumbled up here, but I'm going to show some other pieces, and we can sort of figure out what the heck. So this is from Tarabava map.
Mm-hmm. That's the village in Masters of Earth.
Yeah,
nice.
Master of Earth. Yeah.
You get to fight a necromancer named Cadaverous there.
And this Freedom Hall.
Nice. That's great. That's the first time we've ever done a tactical level map of Freedom Hall.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really pretty. Very. Oops, that's me. That literally
that's the picture of Troy becoming disembodied.
That was my origin story. My origin story. Yeah. So the maps are great. Yeah. They are super, super great. And
absolutely. And Sean makes a great point. Those maps have a lot of reuse value. I mean, you could make use of the Freedom Hall map or the Pyramid Plaza or even the Throne Room map for all kinds of different scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. That was Troy after Thanos snapped his finger. Right. Yeah. He just wasn't strong enough to get rid of my voice, so I just hover around and harass and harangue. Absolutely. And I know that we have not really talked about backwards compatibility as it relates to getting like if we do something for Roll20 translated into the hard copy. We haven't even thought about that, and of course it's a Sean that would ask. So
sure.
Yeah. So we'll get back to you on that. Absolutely. So okay, so I'm looking at some of these questions here. There's some people who are talking a lot about, let's see, Pyramid Plaza seems to act as a red herring more often than not in my games. Okay, fun.
I do that a lot too. Honestly,
yeah,
if I need a random office building, it often ends up being Pyramid Plaza.
Yeah, nice, very very nice.
Nefarious characters subletting in there,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, no. So, a real quick question: as far as the lair of the scarab goes, where is that where is that found in our sort of canon in our lore?
So it's in Freedom City, third
Okay.
edition, and basically it's this secret underground lair that's deep below Pyramid Plaza. I always thought that there was like a 70s comic book in Freedom City's canon that was called Tomb of the Scarab, or something like that. That was basically his weird, psychic investigation stories and things like that.
Yeah, Liz asks, "Who's the cartographer?" Pook, drop that into the chat, won't you, please?
Professional curiosity, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, we should be also saying thank you to the cartographer for their work, because it wasn't me, even though I'd love to lie and say it was. Okay, so looking at sort of all of the pieces of the puzzle, knowing that there's some supplements, also just not for nothing, but we're going to drop those maps onto the Patreon so you can kind of take a look at those. Nice and up and close. So something that we look forward to sharing, and we'll do that probably tonight. But cool. Yeah, that being said, talk about prep for this. Is it something? If you're sharing with you're helping people get prepared for this, what are the things that you should recommend that people look into? If you're a GM, what are some things like, don't forget to put your magic underpants on, like that kind of a thing?
So I had a very detailed session 0. I always do, for especially for an ongoing campaign. We take like 3 or 4 hours to get together and chat. I'll send out not a big document, but like a 1-page document that says, this is what this game is going to be about. This is sort of the genre that I'm interested in. And here are some things that are similar to that. So I sent my players, if you've ever read or seen a Justice League Dark movie, go ahead and do that. John Constantine is a big influence on my just sort of general supernatural nonsense. I sent them my book because I'm a little self-indulgent.
Did you sign it for him?
Oh, always.
Classy.
And I was like, these are the different sort of magical superhero things that could crop into this. And if your characters fit into that sort of niche, that sort of genre, we're gonna go a long way. And I let them know sort of in the beginning that if they could have some kind of connection to a non-Earth Prime universe, that would be helpful to me. So I could sort of build that master mage from different dimensions coming to solve this problem idea. I presented it I presented that as an option, and I presented a couple other options, but that was the one that everybody seemed to gravitate towards. So we have a guy who's a living gateway to the underworld. So I was like, that's the master mage of the underworld. That works. A speedster. So I came up with some kind of with an idea that there's a speed force in Earth Prime that he taps into, and that's sort of where he's the master mage of. One of my players is a gem mage, and they came up with their own dimension that we've sort of grafted on, and they're the master mage of their home dimension, and they were a friend of 7 before everything went crazy. And then our Apocalypse Centuria, I'm still playing around with the idea of her being a master mage of that, either that dimension or the terminus specifically, because that's where she had the worst tragedy part of her backstory. And then we have Bowman, who is not a master mage. But he brought another master mage into the story who betrayed and murdered Steve Kenson on my stream. But that's
how very dare.
It's true.
Okay, so that's how you prepared. So when other GMs are kind of ramping up, what are some of the things? Like, for instance, Sean actually brings up something interesting, and I think, people will find these edge cases. The Seans will locate them quicker than most, because that's just the advanced kind of pains in the butt that they are. But this, so here that the one caveat for 3 made 1 is that the GM should be aware that the suggested PL jumps from 10 to 12. So the advice there is read ahead, like get to know your content. Master Mage of Arrows, exactly. Lightning bolt.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have a good overall sense of if you're running an adventure series, to know where it's going and how it's generally going to end as far as that goes. And so you can plan accordingly. Like if the last adventure has a significant increase in power level, there are plenty of opportunities to give the characters some temporary boosts to their power level, for a big climatic confrontation where they're channeling extra magical energy, where they gain temporary increases to their powers or the like, so they can have this big confrontation.
This is good stuff too, and it speaks to what Alex was mentioning, and that is setting the tone, setting the tenor, and kind of getting a touchstone for everybody to kind of wrap their minds around.
Yep.
That's great. And so, Steve, I'm wondering from your vantage point, when you're setting the mood for this kind of stuff, I mean, even in the creation of this stuff, like, do you do you go so far as to kind of create a mood? Do you watch some stuff? Do you like, or do you are you just always in that space, just always in the creative space? You never leave it.
Well, like Alex says, there's just sort of creative space in general, but there's also like specific genres and styles, and running even like running a more magic focused superhero game is different than running a more sort of crime fighting superhero game, versus running something that's supposed to be more of a big sort of widescreen Justice League saves the Earth, from giant threats every week sort of game. And so it does help to immerse yourself in some of the source material to get a sense of the style and the mood of it. And it's good to, like Alex points out, do some kind of a session 0 where you basically tell your players, this is sort of my expectations for this kind of game. Like I expect there to be more, sort of personal angst amongst the characters.
Gotcha.
So if you want to design that into your character's backstory, that's great. That's something that we can really work with in the context of this game.
They call that turning the GM's drama eye on them. Everybody gets a turn.
You have a very well defined relationship with your players. It is like, I love it. It's so great, but it's the fun interplay to see that sort of tension between the GM and the players that is really brought forward as almost a character unto itself on this stream. I really enjoy that quite a bit.
Yeah, and you can do a whole lot more in a game like this when your players trust you, and when you have that sort of connection. They're willing to go in weird directions if something comes up and I'm like, you know what, this week I want it to be an underworld adventure, but I want you all to be dead Freedom League members so Jonesy can have the spotlight as Mortis.
Fun.
Or like, we're gonna go be team versions of ourselves, or we're gonna go into TV world and you guys have to just be weird random TV characters that I'll assign you on the day of.
Speaking of the cartography stuff real quick, I just want to say Popotomopoto is, I think I might have said that right.
I think you might have, actually.
I think I might have. As I look, I don't know if I could do it again. But yes, and serving Vartanian I'm certain those are their birth given names, no doubt. But very talented cartographers. We appreciate the work you have done. I really enjoy that, and I think that you take Alex, particularly, you take some time to really give your players spotlight, and it's very effortless. It just feels like, but that takes some prep.
Yeah, and it takes a willingness for the GM to say, "Oh, that's a cool thing that's going to happen." Okay, let's let that happen and not get in the way.
Or indeed.
Let's see right here. Here's a question from John. Are there any NPCs or plot details with which Alex altered to expand upon, or expanded upon? Sorry, significantly.
Yes. Is the TLDR version of that story.
Right. Spoilers, of course. We have to watch out.
Yeah.
Right.
Spoilers for Netherwar. I won't go into anything about the finale, but they've gotten most of the way through the story at this point. So the main thing I've sort of done is I've taken each of the modules and blown them up a little bit. So I think as written, they're intended to last for 1 or 2 game sessions, but I've taken sort of each scene almost and turned it into its own session with our group. Some of them have gone for 3 or 4. Some of them, I think Pentagram Peril took us like 8 episodes to get through, which was a lot. But it was fun because we expanded everything and had a big awesome fight in a volcano at the end. The Hell Queen is supposed to be the antagonist for that one, but I swapped her out for Nightfire because one of my players had a particular interest in punching Nightfire in the face because he's terrible.
Because he's the most punchable villain in Freedom City. Yeah,
that's so great.
Yeah, and I added one of the main things that I've sort of added on top of the supernatural stuff is an emphasis on sort of a crime fighter level story that's taking place in Southside, one of the districts of Freedom City, because Bowman was interested. His player wanted to spend some time in that district and use Bowman's money to help that neighborhood. So he's been running this project alongside the aforementioned Master Mage Betrayer who killed Steve. Sophie. She was introduced in the story as his business partner in revitalizing that neighborhood. And she sort of ingratiated herself with him romantically, and that was how she got access to the Freedom Week Dark. Medea, I took Medea out of the 3-headed monstrosity that we're calling Sifunador. I swapped her out with Sophie. But Medea is still part of the story. She's Mortis's best friend. They went clubbing. It was great.
They went clubbing, and I love that. I love that.
Right. That is big Disney Hercules vibe, Medea like out at a club.
That definitely. So that's fun. I mean, and I think that it definitely underscores how much flexibility, and I mean, this really is about your story, right? I mean, and the way that you've designed Mutants and Masterminds, Steve, and the continuation of that sort of effort to not pen people in, like there's a genre here, and even the genre stretches across several different kinds of things. This is so funny.
Yeah, I also changed.
It's a big genre.
It is a big genre.
Well, that's what's great about superheroes is it's sort of every genre with capes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, as the Marvel Cinematic Universe just keeps proving over and over again, superheroes are just, like you said, they're superheroes plus whatever you want, whether it's a heist movie or a kung fu movie or a horror movie, you just take from anywhere.
It's so great. I love that it doesn't that you can participate in something that's camp and fun and heroes saving the day, or like maybe something a little darker, a little less. Yeah.
I also changed Adrian Eldritch's role in the story, and that let Steve.
Jonesy, you're biased about Medea,
right? Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
I changed Adrian Eldritch's role in the story because Adrian sort of had the foresight to know that something like this was going to happen, so he sequestered himself away from the world, and the heroes found him when they went to the dungeon dimension where he was hiding, that was a great episode. I think it's kind of funny that I had Steve play Adrian and Crystal played Seven in the first story arc. Right. That's weird.
Just thinking about that.
That wasn't intentional, but that's fun.
It worked out pretty well, though.
Yeah,
that's great.
I also had Seven not make an active choice to become the ruler of the Netherworld. It was sort of a mishap of what the heroes were doing in that confrontation with Seven and Una. They thought that Seven and Una both sort of canceled each other out and were destroyed, but what they later found out was that they were merged into one being. And occasionally Seven was in control of what was going on, and sometimes Una was in control of what was going on. So that's been fun. And one of the things I did, Master of Earth as it's written, you play as the next gen from that generation, plus Seven, which will follow Seven's friends, but I had them play teen versions of their characters who were friends with Seven. So they had to grow up with that trauma. We did a 10-year jump from Master of Earth to Assault on the Nerian Nexus.
Well, now here's a question.
Player characters much more of a personal stake in the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how well do you prepare your players for the shift in sort of perspective and all of that kind of stuff? Like, do they know well in advance, or how do you manage that?
Well, the good news is that they're not supposed to know what's going to happen, right?
Fair. Yeah.
I always say that nothing's true until the player characters see it. No matter what I've written. If I write something and then they say something else, and I think that's a better idea, I'll be like, yes, that's clearly what I meant to say the whole time.
You know, I wanted to jump into this. We're talking Netherwar. Of course, we've released on Roll20 the first 2 chapters. I've been using chapters, and I'm not sure if that's right.
Chapters is good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Great. But as we were talking about this, earlier I was talking about our work. We're going to be at the RPG Alliance convention, and I had transposed a name, but it was Vicky who put the all the work into that into the map. And so I think we might be able to jump in. I'm gonna wait till Vicky's back. Vicky's hanging out at work and also checking out Mutants and Masterminds Monday like a true fan. But when she's back, we'll see if we can't jump in and kind of walk around the world a little bit and see what it looks like. The main stage looks amazing for sure.
Exciting.
Yeah, super exciting. So thank our friends for that. We've got a bunch of other stuff that's cooking in that regard as well. Let's talk about how do you, when I think about such a long-term commitment, like Alex, your game that you're in right now has lasted longer than I would say all of the relationships that I've ever had. And these are like 5 hours. How many hours at a time are these popping off?
We do 3-hour sessions,
which is super reasonable. Some people do a lot more. You're gonna be doing a 5-hour session coming up at the RPG Alliance convention.
Sure are. We're gonna have a great time.
Yeah, and so I mean that's a lot. That is a lot. That's a long time commitment for hanging out with all those folks. Layer on top of that you're streaming, so there's a little show personship that needs to go on, some singing and dancing, and
Steve, I need you to know I'm working on my party boy Zeus for that stream.
Right on.
It's gonna be great.
Excellent.
He's gonna have a really grating relationship with Daedalus if somebody decides to play Daedalus.
Good. Yeah, well, as it should be. Should be. Yeah.
And we will be streaming it live, so people can. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But
nobody makes Daedalus sigh harder than basically the entire Greek pantheon.
It's my buddy Daedalus. What's up?
It's like, oh.
Well, you weren't a very good daddy, but I'm still gonna call you that.
Oh, wow. It's getting rough. But yeah, so talk to me about how do you sustain that group over a long period of time? And how do you kind of reconfigure if you should happen to kind of get bumped or something happens in regards to, if a person has to miss a couple adventures, like, I mean, that seems like that's a lot of work, huh?
Yeah, it is. But I've been sort of lucky. For a lot of my players and for me, it's sort of the best part of our week. So it's something that we look forward to every day. It's every week it's an escape. It's a chance for all of us to get together. And we just have this really electric relationship, which I think helps. Yeah. As for if a character can't be there, usually sometimes I'll go and I'll look for a guest star who can come in and fill in for an episode or two, or I'll figure out something else for their character to be doing that leads to future drama for everybody else, because they went off and did it off screen, and that's where things can go real wrong because the dice aren't there when you're off screen.
Right.
Yeah, it's just it's being flexible and having sort of a willingness as a game master to roll when things go slightly off skew, either due to scheduling or because one of your characters just does something that causes you to take a bathroom break so you can figure out what's going to happen.
Right.
I mean, like, those scheduling issues are just, a larger version of the sort of things that happen during the game where you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's happening.
Yeah, we had our speedster used one of the possibility shards, and I was like, "You did what?" He tried to use it to break his like nether corruption because he got infected by Una's magic, and he was like, "I'm going to use this because it's magic glass; it'll work." And then he fractured into like 50 different speedsters. We had a whole flash war, which was great. That was the super speed story arc, where it was all variants of the same speedster causing heartache and woe for all of the other player characters.
How fun! And so, did you have to kind of put some of the other story on ice while you dealt with this recalcitrant speedster?
Yeah. That was a surprise new story arc that I wasn't expecting to go right into, but we did it.
So fun!
It was fun.
That is super fun. So Steve, what is the longest term game that you? I mean, even if there's one sort of hanging out waiting for to kick up again. I mean, is it?
Oh gosh, I mean, the longest term game I've ever run probably ran for about 6 years.
Oh my gosh,
give or take. I mean, not continuously every week. We definitely interspersed other games in there, but it was a long running superhero game that went for pretty much all of the time I was in college and a couple of years past that.
How fun! How fun! Now, I'm imagining, it's so much more work than a book club. Because you hope people read, but I mean, there's some theater there. There's some of that stuff that and the interactions and sort of the negotiations. That's the thing that fascinates me the most for these long term. There are things that go on or discussions that happen that other players can't know, or or something that a player's got planned and they want to check. I mean, how do you gauge those things, or what's the latitude that you give your players to kind of explore?
Oh, I love that stuff. I mean, back in my like long running college campaign, this was pretty much pre-internet, and we used Aaron Alston's blue booking technique, which basically meant that all the players had a character journal, essentially, a notebook that was their characters, like personal thoughts.
Sure.
And
okay.
The players would basically write like individual solo scenes for their characters in their blue books, or they would like work together and write like duo conversations where their characters would have like offstage conversations and things like that. And it was just a gold mine of game master material, just things that the characters were interested in, things that they did where the other characters would be like, you did what?
That's so great.
Sorts of stories. It was pure like soap opera drama for the most part, but it was stuff that was just great for an RPG.
So much fun. Yeah. And again, I've said it many times, and well before I was, even working at Green Ronin, but the idea for me is that tabletop role players really truly are world-class storytellers. I mean, there's you know, and the innovation that you have to introduce in your story, in your plots, and the mixing and matching, and you take a bit here and take a bit there, just makes it so much more rich and so much more, you know, just kind of that sort of almost overwhelmed. What thread do I pull here? There are so many threads to tug on. Yeah, that's super great. AJ talks about it. I showed this earlier. I'll show it again. A 10-year a 10-year game. But what I love that only once a month, that counts. I mean, even if you did it once a quarter,
absolutely
getting together, and that's an unbroken story arc for sure.
I mean, a 10-year monthly game is still 120 episodes. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. You know,
and I'm sure those once a month games are not 3 hours long. I'm sure there's like a whole day affair.
Sure, lots of dining together and all that stuff. Sean Vieira says Aaron Alston, the person I would state had the greatest impact on me. I'm not familiar with Aaron,
without a doubt.
But
Aaron was both a brilliant writer and a brilliant game master. So yeah, a lot of his work was very formative.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and the thing about this is that we're going to be walking through this stuff. We are preparing the following Netherwar chapters and getting them ready to go. Some of them are going to have new maps. They're going to have new tokens, a bunch of other stuff that we'll show off as well. But, you know, as you think, folks, as you're kind of hanging out and you're learning or you're interested, or maybe you've got Netherwar and you've been just like, how am I gonna crack the code on this? Bring your questions. Come to the stream and you know, talk about one of the things that people have not taken me up on yet. I really want to do like tabletop role play judge and have have us be arbiters of conflict and rules and you know, meting out punishment where it's due and reward where it's not. And yeah, I mean, I really feel like we could be like a traveling kind of band of you know, do-gooders setting the world right, or the world's right. Yeah, so take me up on that, folks. Bring us some challenges as we are nearing. I can't believe it, but we're nearing the end of the program. We're not going to have enough time to run around in and check out the world that Vicky put together for us.
Right. But we're going to talk about our RPG Alliance events, right?
That's right. And so, Alex, you want to give us the laydown? So, the laydown? What? What kind of adventure is this? We're going to kick off our that on the 21st. We're doing Mutants and Masterminds Sunday, and we're going to get together. We're doing 90 minutes, so we're going to squeeze a little bit more stuff in there. We're going to do some giveaways, some other considerations. I mean, it's going to be a blast. It'll be like it always is, only better. Right? I mean, that's awesome.
Sounds right.
Yeah. It sounds like
who doesn't want more Mutants and Masterminds Monday?
Exactly. I know. Exactly. But you know, consequently, because we only have so much energy to expend in 1 week, we won't be doing the Mutants and Masterminds Monday because it'll be Sunday. But you know, you know how it goes. Party Boy Zeus. But yeah, so Party Boy Zeus, you're gonna unleash, you know, frat boy. You know, I almost said something inappropriate, and I will not. Bad boy.
I don't know what word you were going to use because I almost
said it's a family show, Troy.
That's right. It is a family show. What can folks? So first of all, you're going to be running an adventure you've got, and this is an original of yours, like you.
Yep. Never before seen.
Nice.
Even by me, I haven't written it yet.
A look behind the curtain. There's nothing. It's an empty warehouse.
Synopsis.
But no, you got it. I know you got it. I know you got it cooking up there in the old brain pan. But we have taken 6 patrons from our Patreon. Very excited, by the way. They're very excited.
Who they are yet? I'm sure you know who they are.
Yeah, we do. I'm not going to tell you who they are. They'll be a surprise. No, I'm kidding. No, we'll connect you with them. But no, I literally said, hey, you know, we want to do this thing, and spots filled up before I could even say this thing. Like they were very, very excited about it. But they'll be playing now. It's 5 hours. It's a 5-hour stream. This is quite a commitment. Do you want to talk a little bit about, like, you know, you shared with me some details. I'm not sure if you want to share all of them for fear.
I'll share a couple details.
Okay.
The name of the event is Freedom League, all in the family. We're going to be the Freedom League dealing with some Greek family drama, which is always awesome.
Ooh.
Yep.
Zeus is going to request the Freedom League's assistance in ensuring his brother, who has his life much more put together than Zeus does, doesn't go through with some nefarious plan to basically renege on his deal to never come to Earth again.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be pretty awesome.
There'll be some dimension hopping. We'll be doing some mountain climbing.
Okay. Nice.
Mount
I like
Olympus
that.
climbing, I guess.
I was going to say, any mountains in particular?
Yeah. All right.
And we might have a chance to see a real good Cerberus boy.
Oh, good Cerberus boy. Good boy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Logicor, I was clicking on a different comment, and then Logicor snuck in there, and I clicked on that comment instead. But I mean, I'm interested in that sort of just the thought about. So Logicor has some issues with water. And the rules around being in water. It makes no sense that with the environmental adaptation, I'm presuming that you're still moving at a base of -2. Yeah. Well, what do we think?
Not exactly clear on the question.
Yeah.
It makes no sense in the fashion that you should be moving faster, slower.
Yeah. What is that?
I mean, the primary focus, in terms of environmental adaptation for water is that you're, able to act relatively freely, but moving through water as a medium, especially doing it quickly, is a swimming effect. So if
I think swimming is what they're talking about, because swim speed is not as fast as land speed. Like the ranks,
land speed,
the ranks don't equate.
Sure. That's usually because things move slower through water than they do through air. But
least resistance, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but the big upshot of anything in Mutants and Masterminds is, if you don't like a particular rule, by all means change it.
All right, thank you, Steve. This is what I really wanted us to get to. I wanted to kind of set the stage for this, because honestly, change it, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
if it bugs you, fix it. By all means.
Yeah, and
don't wait for us to do it.
And the other thing as well is, don't sit there and suffer a thing that isn't working for your group because it's written in a book.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So Logicor, we free you from the shackles of water.
And I think it can also be series dependent. Like if you're doing an Atlantis series, maybe you don't use that rule. But if you have most of your stuff take place on the ground or in the air, I think it makes sense to have it slowed down, because that's a new environment. It's a different challenge for it.
I see. Yeah. So this is coming up because of a particular space that. Yeah.
Oh, this is a settle an argument between me and my GM question.
Is that right, Logicor? Are we arbitrating for you? I think we did. I think just swim on over there and give him a flipper.
Take it up with Apook, not us.
But just do it in water. Well, friends, it's 3:00, and we literally had so much to talk about today that we got the to the most important bits. Patreon friends, they're hanging out over at patreon.com/mutants and masterminds. You can anticipate. I think I'll be able to drop some of the stat block stuff today. There's some map stuff already there hanging out, waiting for everyone to kind of check it out. And the Patreon it's got lots of good stuff, lots of great stat blocks, some art, some backstories, like where are they now, and backstories and forward stories, the whole thing. You can get in on that like starting at $3, like $3 a month. That's a bargain. But yeah, so come check that out as well. And this coming Thursday, we've got Thursdays with Owen Casey Stevens and myself, when we hang out and we talk all kinds of fantasy age and age systems, in general. And then we're back on Monday But between now and the next time we talk, you are going to be inundated with RPG Alliance Con information because we've got other people doing stuff as well, like Malcolm, who's going to be bringing some stuff there. He's not going to be playing a game, but he's going to be, doing a panel. And we've got there's a fashion show that Alex is going to lead. That's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, you're like, whatever, whatever. Sure. But yeah, so anything that you two would like to share, Steve and Alex, on, Alex, are you playing tonight?
We are playing tonight. If you are interested in coming to hang out for Netherwar stuff, we have episode 37 coming on tonight, which actually deals with the Arctic Fox setting a trap for Bowman. And we find out that Bowman has a generational issue with the Arctic Fox because he's faced off with both his grandpa and his dad.
Wow, what is it with Bowman and Arctic Fox? That was a thing in my stream too for some reason.
Yeah, no, I don't know why Calvin's got beef with him, but he's gonna go find him and go start a fight, I guess.
That's awesome.
The name of the episode is The Fox and the Rebound, so it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Okay. Steve, anything to share before we
No, that's pretty much the Patreon and everything that we've got coming up for RPG Alliance is a whole lot of news.
That's a whole lot of something, and I'm looking forward to it all. I want to thank everybody in chat for hanging out and asking great questions and being engaged. We really, truly appreciate it. Our numbers continue to grow as people join us. But be sure, do me a favor, stop what you're doing right now. Take a look at where you're at. Find, if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, like the video. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like the Green Ronin Facebook page because we're almost ready to cross a threshold, and so getting your I'm excited about that too. But mega thanks to everybody, gentlemen. Always a pleasure to hang out with you on a Mutants and Masterminds Monday.
And Troy, can I mention one more thing?
Yes, of course.
I am also going to be at another convention in a couple of weeks. It's a virtual convention where I have a couple of M&M games that are available for people to come play. If you want to come play, it's called UCon. U-Con.
U-Con. Okay, yeah, we should get a link and have. I'm not familiar with that group, but I say the more the merrier.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, pals. Goodbye, and have a great rest of your week.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.